All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. We are Twin Essence. I am Lacey. I'm Marley. We are, of course, identical twins, Starseed Lightworkers, and psychic mediums. And today we will be discussing our Starseed awakenings. So, we are both Starseed Lightworkers, and this journey has been a very interesting journey thus far. And had you told us several years ago that we would be Starseed Lightworkers and be communicating with star beings, and the bulk of our spiritual work would consist of that, we would probably think you're absolutely crazy. It was not how our path started at all. No, definitely not how we started at all. We always have been interested in, I would say, the unexplained, paranormal, um, since we were children. Like, since we were little kids, we always loved hearing ghost stories, hearing stories just about unexplained things people would have happen. Whether it was like UFO sightings or just weird coincidences or like psychic blips people would have. Like, that always fascinated us. It was our favorite thing to hear about. And we grew up watching a lot of paranormal TV shows. So we grew up in an environment where we never questioned the existence of like the other side or the spiritual realm and what that actually looked like and consisted of. We always believed in it. We were very accepting of it and thought it was probably the coolest thing ever. And we watched tons of paranormal TV. So we actually wished we could be psychic mediums on a paranormal TV show. We thought it was really cool. We were like, this ability, it's so insane. We want to be like that. We did, which is super crazy then when you go through a spiritual awakening, because it really is a sign and validation on your path that this is what you chose, right? Or maybe it's what you manifested. Maybe it's what we claimed and we didn't realize it since we were kids. But it wasn't until I would say that we had gone through a spiritual awakening that we started to really reflect back on experiences from our childhood and kind of put those puzzle pieces together. Um, I think it was our time post-college, I would say, that Lacey and I started to participate more hands-on in paranormal investigations within our local area, and from there, we started to really have more spiritual experiences and notice different things about our psychic abilities. Yeah, and we had our own loss of loved ones too around the same time. So that happened, and it ultimately led us to becoming more
Open? Open?
energetically attuned and open to these different beings that would come through. And I think maybe a year or 2 into our journeys, would you say that's kind of when we first had our, like, starseed experiences? Yeah, I mean, reflecting back, I feel like it happened very fast, but it was such a missing puzzle piece. Like, we always describe it as such a missing piece of ourselves that, like, when this starseed awakening happened, it just made so much sense to us. We really didn't question that either. I think we I think we didn't question really anything, um, since we were kids of on the spirituality side. But, I mean, after claiming the spiritual abilities and the psychic mediumship part of us, it made sense naturally on our path that the starseed side would come in. And it really started happening, um, I would say, when I started having, like, lucid dreamlike experiences with these star beings. And we just heard a little, uh, tap noise in the room. It was, like, really, I don't know, it was really strange. I think that was just confirmation from spirit on what we're talking about today. But when I started having these lucid dream experiences, the first one I ever had, it was, like, really, really early in the morning, and I was very much out of my physical body, but very consciously aware of my physical body at the same time. It's hard to explain unless you go through this. So it's very much astral projection like, which now the point that I'm at on my path now, it makes a lot of sense. Like, this is a normal occurrence for me. But in this experience, in this dreamlike state, all of a sudden it was like daytime and light out in this dreamlike experience, and I could see a being reflected in the reflection in the window in my bedroom. and the window's like a really big window, so you can see part of the bed. And so in this reflection, I can see this cat-like being. It's like a humanoid, part cat, part human being. And in the dream, I'm calling to Lacey. I'm saying, Lacey, look at this being. I can see it, and it's not afraid of me, and it's not disappearing when I look at it. And then this cat-like being slowly starts to rise. And I'm just staring at it in the reflection in the window. I don't physically see it standing up, but I see it in the reflection standing up. And then it just starts to move onto my bed, but once it's on my bed, it physically feels like just a cat, just an animal cat, fully cat walking onto me. And it was a strange experience for me. So after and the whole time I'm trying to like rationalize, like my conscious mind is trying to rationalize what's happening. And I can hear them saying like, stay in the dream, stay in the dream, stay in the dream. But eventually I wake up and I pull myself out of it.
And
And
you mean you hear spirit saying that,
yep,
right?
yep,
Okay.
spirit is saying, like, "Stay in the dream." They're telling me, like, stay back here, listen to us," and my conscious mind's trying to pull me out of it, right? But eventually I do wake up after this experience, and that was when I shared it with Lacey that next morning, and I told her about it, and I'm like, "I don't know what this was."
And for the record, I had no recollection of her calling out to me in a spirit state. We often don't remember those experiences.
I should clarify, she was not in the same room as me physically either in the 3D. So, everything that was happening in that astral realm, in that dreamlike state, like, physically, I was aware of my body laying there and, like, being asleep, and I was aware, like, it's supposed to be dark out right now, but that wasn't what it appeared like at all in the dream state. In the dream state, it was light out, it was daytime, I was looking at the being, I was calling to Lacey, and they just kept telling me to stay in the dream and to stay back. But it was super crazy because I couldn't explain. I'd never in my life, throughout my whole spiritual path, seen anything that was part cat, part human like that, and I didn't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and I think that we both didn't understand, like, what that could be and what kind of spiritual being it would be, and I remember having a conversation with a friend, and she was the one that said, "It sounds a lot like you're describing a Lyran, and you should look up what these Lyran beings are." And now we know, obviously, that Lyrans are a star being and a starseed lineage, if you will. But a couple days after Marley had this lucid dreaming experience with a Lyran, I actually had my own experience with a Lyran. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I felt this presence that was standing at the end of my bed, um, but it was near my bedroom window.
Such is the life of a psychic medium when something's standing at the
Yeah,
edge of your bed in the middle of the night.
literally, yes. The things that we think are normal. But it was standing at the end of my bed towards my window, and I knew that if I had opened my eyes and looked to where I knew it was standing, that I wasn't going to physically see it. I knew if I opened my eyes and looked right across from where was standing in the mirror, I had a vanity mirror, that then I would be able to see it in this mirror. No idea where I got this from, but it's just what I knew and felt. So I opened my eyes and I looked at my mirror. And in my mirror was this cat-like humanoid being, and it was wearing this Egyptian headdress, which was very interesting, and it was kinda smirking at me, and I remember seeing these hieroglyphic, like, symbols and signs all around it in the mirror that were, like, illuminated, and there was movement to it, but they were, like, this bluish white color along with the being was illuminated in bluish white color, and it was smirking, and I just remember in my mind thinking, "I have no idea what this is. I don't feel threatened by it, um, but I don't necessarily like, I'm really not afraid of it, but I'm not necessarily, like, wanting to talk to it either." I just kinda thought, like, "This is a weird occurrence," and I remember I, like, rolled over and just went back to bed. I didn't, like, engage with it further or want to figure it out, I just thought, like, "Interesting," and when I looked at it, I do remember my heart rate, like, increasing, like, tripling and just, like, increasing so much when I looked at it because it was kind of like, "What is this experience you are having as a human right now?" And it was very physical, but I did not engage any further, I just rolled over and went back to bed. And after that, that's when it made complete sense, like, Lacey talking to that friend and bringing up the Lyran star beings. Like, we had looked up Lyran star beings after that, and we had seen a couple AI depictions of what these could look like, and it was exactly what I had seen, it was exactly what Lacey had seen. And so we were like, "Wow, this is totally new territory for us, but it feels like this is important to us." And I feel like after those experiences, everything Starseed just started coming through. That's how I'll describe it. Like, all of a sudden, the Oracle deck, like a Starseed Oracle deck, came forward on my path, and we started to explore a little bit further with Spirit. And it was so obvious that this was who we were, that it was just undeniable. An undeniable part of us that we could no longer contain at the point that we discovered it.
Yeah, I think we knew it was interdimensional beings. We weren't afraid of it. We trusted that this information and these beings were coming forward for a reason on our path. And we often
It was
refer
never fearful. I'll just add that in too. Like, I know we talk about our lucid dream experiences, but we weren't scared in these experiences, even though it was like animal-like people.
Yeah, and I will say that we refer to this part of our journeys as our starseed awakenings. Sometimes it felt like an initiation of sorts or an activation, if you will, but we knew it was part of our path and was going to be very, very important to the work that we did. We didn't fully understand everything, and as anyone who goes on a starseed awakening journey will realize, is there is just shit for resources out there. Like, I'm sorry, but you're, like, resorted to using Reddit threads of people asking questions and trying to find answers amongst community, and personal blogs of people who try to create, like, resources on Starseed information, and sorry, not sorry, they're just not that helpful, and to me, they're very generic.
It's like a wild, wild west of the spiritual realm, I say, for resources.
It
Like, it's
is.
hard. It's super hard to find trustworthiness and credibility in what you're looking up. I mean, then it's like you go down like the TikTok AI accounts, and it's so not validated, and I feel like it's just it's so there's so many resources out there that are unfounded, and I think, and not grounded.
And
Not
they're inconsistent. Like,
Yeah.
there aren't like these there aren't very good commonalities and consistencies across all these resources you look at. So, how can you actually trust them then?
And I think too, like, reclaiming or not reclaiming, but claiming that part of our identities and our journey, it just was so obvious to us and everything that we're talking about with the lack of resources out there, that this is the mission for us. I mean, this is our mission, to come to Earth right now at this point where Gaia is ascending, to help humanity ascend through our clients, the individual work that we do, and through the collective work that we do. I mean, we really serve as ascension guides on the collective level and in the individual level for what is happening on Earth right now.
And part of our work too is to create consistency in the information being shared about these star beings, not from a place of ultimate truth or fact, but
No.
from a place of these are our experiences and what resonates with us. This is the information that we've directly channeled from these different beings. And this is how it can help you on your journey.
It's a
And
source. It's serving as a source and a starting point. And it's for people at different points on their journey. Some people may be very early on interested in star seeds and ascension work. Some people are very much on the spiritual path when they start to recognize the galactic energies coming to them.
yeah,
But either way, we are here and we are serving as that resource guiding you.
and some people will say like, "Oh, well, like we're never alone." And while that's true, it's also this is bigger than that. It's a remembrance. It's always been part of us. It's always been part of you, and it's really just taking those steps to follow the cosmic crumbs that your star family lays out and understand and remember who you actually are on a soul level. And I think that leads us into our discussion on cosmic crumbs and little signs and things that we have encountered as we went on this journey in our Starseed Awakenings, because we had to uncover our own Starseed lineage and who we were tied to and what we resonated with. I will say too, when we talk about cosmic crumbs or spirit crumbs, some people call them, honestly, on the psychic medium side of us, when we had done our initial awakening there, it was very obvious the childhood pieces. I mean, we had, the experiences of that's why I was always afraid there was ghosts in my room at night because there really were spirits coming to us. Or we talk about we had a podcast episode come out actually yesterday on Halloween where we talk about like a lamp turning on by itself when we were sharing a room as kids. That was spirit interacting with us. It's just some of those odd experiences that really were explained, I think, early in our awakening. But then evolving further with our Starseed awakenings, there were also cosmic crumbs that were even more specific that I think are crazy and again shows you how the universe co-creates and how unexplained the magic can be in this universe. For sure, like 100%. And so something that we actually remembered a couple days ago that was really interesting is a little cosmic crumb, if you will, of what would happen in our spiritual journeys or in our incarnation and lifetime is we actually went on a trip to London and Paris when we were about 15, I would say. And travel's always been a big part of our journeys. We love travel. It's actually a big part of our spiritual development and our starseed journeys as well. We quite literally have starseed travel vlogs that you can view of when we take trips and the different experiences we have and kind of how that plays into our starseed journeys and development. But we went on this trip when we were 15 and we got to visit the Louvre in Paris, which was fantastic and amazing. But while we were there, we actually got lost in the Louvre because it's so huge and no amount of time is ever going to probably be enough to cover visiting the Louvre in its entirety. But we got lost while we were there and somehow found ourselves in an Egyptian exhibit where there was a large sphinx, there were different relics and art from the Egyptian time period, and Egyptians are actually closely tied to starseeds. Yep, and star beings, I'll say too, because a lot of star beings during that ancient civilization, that time period in Egypt, they actually presented themselves as gods because that was a symbol that was familiar to the people in that civilization. So when they came down to Earth, they could present themselves as gods. It was comfortable and familiar to the people there. And they could help them evolve and share what they needed to share or energetically do some things too, because the pyramids are also very much aligned with energies and different energy works and activations. Um, but it's crazy when you reflect on these things in your journey because this just came up the other day. Obviously, the Louvre had that heist happen, and so when that so when Lacey and I were discussing that and the craziness of that happening in today's day and age, that was when Lacey brought forward that memory of, "Do you remember when we got lost though and we ended up at that Sphinx?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, I haven't thought about that in forever. So that was a crumb that we attribute that as a cosmic crumb showing us that even at that age, it was gonna mean something more to us later on our timeline, in our linear timeline, I should say. Yeah, and an activation in and of itself by being there and being among those old relics and the energetic sites that those locations hold, um, I think it was very important, and I'm not saying that so we've never been to Egypt yet, but I know a lot of people who do travel to Egypt and visit these ancient sites and relics. They tend to have like activations or awakenings or experiences, if you will, being at these ancient locations. And we haven't been there yet. So I'm not saying if you go to Egypt, we're guaranteeing that you're going to have some sort of profound awakening and activation. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I do think that us visiting those relics and ancient things at the Louvre at that age was a little bit of a breadcrumb of what would become an important part of our journey because now we do attribute different starseed lineages to that location on Earth. I'll also bring up one other cosmic breadcrumb here, which is probably a little bit less cool as the Louvre and the Sphinx exhibit here.
Yeah.
But something that shows you, like, no matter how small, it can truly be tied to that soul remembering. And we actually have a podcast episode about this. It's called The Pink and Blue Beings. And that is because
Since Lacey and I have been little kids, our favorite colors, hers was pink, mine was blue. And during our starseed awakenings, we were able to associate many star beings come to us through color first. We see them through color and feel them through color. And we were able to pinpoint our lineages down to Lacey being Lyran, me being Syrian, and oftentimes Lyrans come through in a pink energy and Syrians come through in a blue energy, and we see the beings as well in pink and blue. We've also had QHHT sessions where we were able to confirm and see things as well. Lacey being pink beings with the Lyrans and me being Syrian with blue beings. And so something as small as the colors you're attracted to or your favorite color since childhood could be an indicator of your starseed origins, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. It's been an interesting part of our path and journeys, and we've certainly enjoyed it. But uncovering our starseed lineage really was not easy with the lack of resources out there and the lack of what's the word, like spiritual expertise in the
Yeah.
area. And I think doing the work that we do now as Starseed Lightworkers in Ascension through Twin Essence, like this is really what we wish we would have had on our journey. Like we wished we could have booked a session with someone to help us understand what was happening, but that wasn't how our path was laid out. So now we're able to create the offers and the things that we wish we would have had, or that we wish we could have experienced to help accelerate our journey and growth. But that's not how our path was laid out, which is okay because now we're able to do that.
Well, and really too, on our path, we had each other. Like there was a reason we chose this incarnation as identical twins. There's a reason we are serving this mission right now. It's everything is deliberate, nothing is coincidence. This was chosen, this was designed, it was created this way for a reason. And we had each other. But serving as collective guides on the ascension path and helping you also on the individual level, you're not supposed to be going it alone. Even the most evolved spiritual person who starts to recognize galactic energies coming to them, a lot of them say the same thing. Well, I'm supposed to figure it out on my own. I usually work with spirit and do my own research and figure it out on my own. But that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Not when it comes to your cosmic origins. This is what we're here to help you with. It's not a solo mission. We are here to help guide you, serve as a resource, help you understand where you came from, remember where you came from. Remember what your mission and purpose are in this incarnation and help you understand the challenges on your path.
And going inward for answers, that's a great practice, a great skill. We're the same way. But the point we're trying to make is it's actually a limiting belief that you're supposed to go everything alone. Like, we're just going to go it alone, and then I'll Google things. I'm going to Google it. It'll help me figure out what they're showing me. Like,
It's as much a limiting belief as saying that you have to sit in silence and meditation for spiritual development.
Yes, and I think that a lot of spiritual leaders and entrepreneurs and healers and light workers, like, they fall into that a little bit, especially when it comes to the cosmic stuff. But we get it because we've walked that path and we didn't have anybody to turn to, which is why we're here now.
But we did
as
have each
someone
other. We did have each other seeing as guides to each other as well.
Yes. Yes, that's what makes it different. But that's why now we're able to serve from an area of expertise because of all the work that we've done and the knowledge that we've gained in this area, and to serve as that resource because we didn't have it. And I get it because the different leaders out there, you might be able to find someone who's channeling from a specific star family, but you're also not going to be able, you're going to hear people use language like extraterrestrial and aliens. And one of the first things we learned when working with star beings was they don't like the term alien. They're not aliens. Alien holds a lot of fear and has a negative connotation in society. And I get it. We watched Signs as kids, okay? It was fucking terrifying. We were actually really scared of aliens as kids.
Well, that's a crazy thing too on our path. Like, never question ghosts, never were afraid of spirits, no matter what we watched. We love scary movies too. But the alien side did freak us out, and that is because we were being told to be afraid of it, right? That is what society created around that word, around that being. Now, channeling those beings, having the experiences we had going through our awakenings, it wasn't scary. It was totally benign, and they're not aliens, they're light beings. Exactly, and if they had not come through with that information very clear, it probably would have freaked us out a lot more on, like, what were we talking to, but we didn't have that. So, it's really, really cool to be able to share this information now and serve as a guide and a resource for other women who are on this path and looking for guidance to understand the information they are receiving. It's it's phenomenal to be able to do this work now. So I think to wrap it up, if you are interested in working with us on an individual level, we have a couple different offerings. You can head to our website. You can find that on our channel, twinessence.com. We typically recommend starting with a twin magic reading. That is going to be totally focused on discovering your cosmic origins, understanding that mission and purpose in this lifetime, and also anything coming up on your personal ascension path. It's a great starting point to remember where you came from, why you're here, and where you're going. Yep, and then we serve as collective guides to ascension, so you can always find valuable information on our Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok account, as well as YouTube, and we also have a podcast called The Ascension Path with Twin Essence, which you can find on our YouTube channel if you would like to watch it. It's also on Spotify and Apple for listening. And one other thing that I will mention too is we are currently offering monthly disclosure discussion calls. So these are actually called Starseed disclosure discussion calls. And these are focused on collective guidance for what's happening in the world right now. So oftentimes they have different themes, but we just channel through messages. Could be on current events happening, could be on a more individual level. And we also will do questions like a Q&A at the end of those calls. So if that's something you're interested, you can also head over to our website or our social media to find that information. And with that, we will sign off, but feel free to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube.